Mirasee.
Welcome to Lead is Human. I'm Sharon Richmond, and for more than 3 decades, I've had the absolute joy of running a business called Leading Large. What do? We help C-level executives like you supercharge your impact. We clarify your priorities, energize your organizations, and yes, build cultures rooted in accountability and respect. In this podcast, I don't just talk theory. I bring you real-life executives who've intentionally built organizations where the bottom line, investors, and employees all thrive together. These leaders truly understand that the power that comes with their position demands an equal measure of accountability and responsibility to everyone they impact, their customers, employees, shareholders, and even communities. Every episode of To Lead is Human is your chance to learn from their triumphs as well as their bumps along the leadership journey. Today, however, I'm flying solo to share some of my perspective on what to lead as human means in practice, exploring the core principles, how to foster a truly human-centered workplace, the crucial role of feedback, and how great leaders navigate their own challenges and vulnerabilities. All of the leaders I mention and quote today have been past guests on the show, so if you hear a quote or point that resonates with you, I encourage you to go back to that episode and learn more. So let's dive in. Core leadership principles are more than just the bottom line. When I talk with leaders who have significant impact, a few foundational principles consistently rise to the top. It's not just about the numbers. It's about the people who make those numbers happen and the culture in which they're delivering value. First, be a servant to ambitious goals. Forget the idea that being hyper-goal-oriented means you have to be a tyrant. My guests swear that combining audacious 10x thinking with a servant leadership approach is the secret sauce. One of my guests, Ajay Varia, put it perfectly. He says your job as a leader is to unblock and empower your brilliant employees, giving them the info and capabilities they need to run with those big dreams. It's about people over process, allowing your team to excel and truly accelerate those ambitious goals. Second, clarity is your superpower and confusion is the enemy. You know that feeling when you're in a meeting and everyone's nodding, but you just know half the room is lost? Great leaders squash that. They are relentless about providing unwavering clarity, whether it's the why behind the work, the precise goals, or the overall vision. As Andy Levitt so wisely shared with us in his episode, if the trumpeter sounds an uncertain note, few will heed the call. Your team needs to know exactly where they are, and they need to feel where you are leading them. Third, authenticity and vulnerability build unbreakable trust. Let's get real. Nobody wants to follow a robot. The most effective leaders I've talked with emphasize that being your genuine self, including your foibles, your imperfections, and admitting when you don't have all the answers, is part of how you build deep, lasting trust. Eliana believes that the bravest person displays those flaws and uses that as a way of encouraging and driving others to do great things. Eliana Hassan believes that the bravest person displays those flaws and leverages them as a way of inviting others into vulnerability so that together they can achieve great things. When you're more transparent, it makes it a lot easier for other folks to be transparent too. It's about leading with your whole human self, not just leading from your title. Fostering a human-centered workplace goes beyond just perks. So once you've got your principles down, the 3 we just walked through, now how do you translate that into a workplace where people genuinely want to be, where they want to come into work, where they feel connected, respected, and driven? It's certainly more than just a lot of free snacks and meals and ping pong tables, although those can be nice as well. 1, culture is intentional, and it begins with who you hire. Building a human-centered organization means actively, intentionally cultivating your culture. It's not something that just happens. It's shaped by who you hire and who you fire. Leaders like Ajay Varia actively participate in their hiring process, looking for specific traits like growth mindset, intellectual curiosity, and he says a serious lack of ego. This upfront investment in your people, including their development and training, it isn't just an HR thing. HR doesn't own it. They deliver it on behalf of the executives, and it is a strategic imperative that yields outsized returns. Here's a big one. Number 2, talk less, ask more, listen deeply. Amanda Tucker advised leaders to say less and tell less and ask more questions. Why? Because as she learned, the goal isn't for you to have all the answers. The goal is for you to unlock the collective wisdom of your team members. Dev Basu highlighted that people need to feel seen, heard, and understood. And to him, this means creating an environment where open communication and dialogue are the norm, and where you're truly listening to understand, not just waiting to get your response in. These behaviors build trust and ensure everyone feels their input is valued, and you get more value in return as they trust you and share more. Third, empower autonomy by removing roadblocks. You've hired brilliant people. Now trust them. Human-centered leaders don't micromanage the how. Instead, they focus on clarifying the outcomes, providing autonomy and support, and then removing the barriers that hold their teams back. They know how to get out of the way because they create systems where people can excel. People develop their own confidence and problem-solving skills, which gives them room to swing the bat. This focus on empowerment accelerates progress and fosters an ownership mindset in every level of your organization. And when people feel like owners, they act like owners, taking care with their action as if the resources at hand were their very own. 4, cultivate a culture of relentless learning and growth. The best workplaces are those where learning isn't considered a perk, but it's considered an essential part of the journey. Leaders encourage experimentation, trying things out, seeing what works and what doesn't, and understanding that when we fail, we should never lose the lesson. Or, as Dev Basu initially phrased it, you either win or you learn. Maureen O'Connor was thinking about supporting students in some of the courses that she teaches, and her view is, it doesn't help my students at all if I write their paper. She instead challenges herself. How do I get them to know how to write their own paper? This focus on developing self-sufficiency ensures that individuals and the organization are always growing, especially from setbacks. What's the role of feedback? It's a true gift. For most of us, many of us, that word feedback conjures up an image of a screeching microphone, or even worse, that nervous stomach drop feeling when someone says, "Hey, can I give you some feedback?" But our guests universally agree. When done right, feedback is an absolute gift. You can learn more about how others experience you, and you can share with them how you experience their actions. Here's a few key points. 1, feedback is a prime catalyst for growth. Forget the unpleasant connotations. Leaders who view feedback as a crucial component for both personal and professional development realize frequent feedback is really important. Eliana Hassan learned this early in her career from a mentor who did tell her that feedback was a gift and said that their goal was to move from "I'm telling what you did well and poorly" to having a conversation in the context of their relationship with the singular purpose of inviting learning and growth. From my experience, that is the only legitimate goal for sharing feedback, is to invite learning and growth. 2, building trust through vulnerability and openness. Especially when you're the leader, Asking for feedback is a very powerful act. It shows you are willing to be vulnerable, and that builds immense trust. Matthew Lockheim shared that the more open and willing he is to admit mistakes, the more others reciprocate. So he learns more about what's happening at every level of their organization when he is willing to admit things he doesn't know. 3. Clarity and intentionality in delivery. Delivering feedback effectively means being crystal clear and also deeply empathetic. Rachel Maceras advises leaders to never equivocate, always be super clear, and take the emotion out of your feedback. She points out it's about focusing on your observations and how the actions impacted you rather than judging the person. It helps if you can ask, what was your intention in doing that? Or what did you notice the client doing? And this can shift a conversation from defensive to curious in a quick 1, 2, 3. 4th, driving organizational improvement and not blame. Feedback isn't just a tool for individual growth. It's a vital tool for organizational health as well. Ajay Varia uses upward feedback surveys, and he encourages a 5 whys approach to understanding root causes. So rather than assigning blame when things go wrong, they can look for the source and work to correct it. Eric Edelson proactively asks his team, what's not working? To get direct, actionable insights at Fireclay Tiles. And John Abbott, who was at KQED and GBH in Boston, running those organizations, emphasizes that getting employees involved in projects when the clay is still wet helps people build commitment and buy-in, as well as helping to include their learning and perspectives in the solutions. Having a continuous learning loop will always help uncover issues, anticipate challenges, and accelerate your overall progress. Managing challenges and vulnerabilities as a humanistic leader. There will always be challenges. Leadership is definitely not smooth sailing all the time. It comes with pressure, tough decisions, and moments of self-doubt. Our guests have offered incredibly candid insights into how you can navigate these very human challenges in the same ways that they did. The first recommendation is to embrace your imperfections and lead, leaning into your humanity. The title of this podcast, To Lead as Human, is no accident. It means accepting that you are, as are we all, human. So are all the people you work with. We're flawed, we're fallible. Sometimes we're dead wrong and super confident that we're right. Again, as Rachel Maceras points out, people want to follow people, and they want to know that the person isn't a robot, they're a real human being. They want leaders who have empathy. Embracing your humanity, including your own mistakes, is a strength that deepens connection and allows for continuous self-improvement. 2, seek support, and don't try to do this all by yourself. You're not alone, although the higher you climb in an organization, the lonelier it can get. Effective leaders understand this and actively build networks of support. This means reaching out to mentors and trusted colleagues. It means engaging a coach for thought partnership and tough love feedback and external perspectives. As Andy Levitt wisely pointed out, sometimes your loved ones can only offer empathy, but you need someone who's really been in the weeds and can relate and tell you the tough things you really need to hear. 3, master your emotions. Don't let them master you. You may be under immense pressure, as leaders are, and it's so easy to let our emotions bubble up like impatience, frustration, or fear. But these emotions, if unchecked, can really derail your team. We often talk about emotions being contagious, and several of our guests pointed out some of the risks if you don't check your emotions. Again, Rachel Maceras consciously focuses on getting emotion out of her feedback, and she says she always takes a pause whenever she's feeling heated. Bhubi Pathak shared with our listeners that for her, intentionally managing her emotions helps her better empathize with others. It's about maintaining your composure and your intentionality, especially in the middle of swirling chaos. 4, every failure is a learning opportunity. We know that setbacks will happen, they're inevitable, but don't let them crush you. Instead of letting them crush you, really truly human leaders See them as the profound learning experiences they are. Jay Varia candidly discussed missing revenue goals and the pain he faced in that, but he stressed the importance of accepting that reality and moving forward with practical actions. Adrian Shepard shared how his fire department evaluates shortcomings after incidents so that everyone can do better the next time. These kind of after-action reviews, these retrospectives, these moments, even the dark days, shape leadership and often bring forward the changes needed for future success. Okay, my friends, some takeaways. I always like to end the podcast with some actionable, easy to implement tips that you can start practicing today to help you lean into your human leadership. Because, as our guests constantly show us, human practices aren't just feel good, they drive real, tangible results in your organization. So, here are 4 tips that you can try and share with colleagues. See if they can try them as well. First, get clear with your 3 H's for every conversation. Before you head into a meeting or any kind of critical exchange with anyone, take 5 minutes and think about head, heart, and hands, the 3 H's. Head, what do I want people to know or understand after this conversation or meeting? Heart, how do I want them to feel when we're finished talking? And hands, what do I want them to do next? As Eliana Hassan said, this simple act of intentionality helps design the most important conversations you have with the end in mind. When you take the time to get clear on your desired outcomes for their benefit, the audience's benefit, you will communicate with much greater impact. Second, actively seek feedback like it's gold. We all know that getting feedback is a gift, but it can still sting. Your job as the leader is to set an example. You start by asking for feedback from your team proactively. Don't just ask, how am I doing? Be specific. Ask, how am I doing at supporting you in X project? Or is there anything you wanted to talk about today that we didn't get to? Whatever they raise, even if it feels awkward and bad and you start to feel defensive, just take a breath, anchor yourself in your center, and stay curious. Ask how it affected them in that moment or what they wish you'd done instead. This is how you learn what's truly landing or not, and how you build a culture where everyone feels safe to speak aloud the truth as they see it without fear of losing their job. 3, prioritize self-care like your business depends on it, because it does. Leading can be exhausting and often isolating. As Jonathan Reckford, CEO of Habitat for Humanity, reminded us, if you're not tending to your physical, emotional, and spiritual fitness, you just can't show up fully for your team and your mission. And Andy Levitt's candid story about his coma is a stark reminder to put your own oxygen mask on first. Block out that self-care time on your calendar and protect it with your full energy. Your team deserves a leader who isn't running on fumes. 4, empower your team by letting the branch grow. Your people are brilliant. Trust them. Dart Lindsley describes how giving his Google team room to swing the bat led to incredible innovations in their service offerings. Instead of always providing your team with the solution, focus on empowering them. This means creating a safe environment where people are allowed to fail and learn, and providing them with many chances to get good at more things. As Igor Seletsky learned, assuming your people are smarter than you and welcoming their ideas, even if they initially don't seem that good, will truly give your people the confidence to bring their opinions and ideas forward and will make their decisions better over time. It's about nurturing their confidence and allowing them to create solutions you never would have imagined and helping their ideas to flourish. Thank you for listening today, and be sure to check out the past episodes featuring the guests that I quoted from. As I often say, leadership isn't just about having the right answers. It's much more about asking the right questions. It's much more about cultivating an environment where everyone can thrive, where people feel valued, seen, and heard. And it's very much about recognizing that your own humanity, your strengths, your vulnerabilities, and your continuous learning is your greatest asset. I'm Sharon Richmond, and this has been To Lead as Human. You can learn more about me and the work we do at Leading Large over at leadinglarge.com. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn. I love sharing resources and ideas, and especially building new connections. To Lead as Human is proudly part of the Mirasee FM podcast network, which includes such shows as The Neuroscience of Coaching and Once Upon a Business. If you found something valuable in today's conversation, would you take a moment and leave us a starred review and share this episode with a colleague? It really does make a big difference to the algorithm. And my opinion is that the more leaders we can reach, the better we will all be at leading from our human core, and the better for everyone in our companies. Thank you so much for listening today, and please join me the next time on To Lead as Human.